Hey everybody, are you ready to work on our card number 2? This time we're going to be using this cute little shroom. Isn't he adorable? And with that kit you also get this mushroom set. And this little mushroom here would be perfect for Bloom to sit on. So if you're buying the card kits, you might consider getting Bloom too, because she would look perfect on that. And I've already stamped my images on Neenah 80-pound solar white cardstock. So let's get started. Alright, so I'm going to start with the skin, which is usually what I start with. And for my skin tones, I'm going to use E21, E00, E000. For the cheeks, I'm going to use R20 and R30. So I always start, I color light or dark to light, so I'm going to start with E21. And I think I'll start down here on his little stomach. And I'm going to have the light coming from this side of the face because it's kind of tipped up here. And I want it to be more shiny over here. So I'm going to give his stomach a little bit of shadowing on this side mostly. And as long as I'm shadowing, I'll do his hand. And I'm going to do around the back side of this hand and on the inside of the arm. And then I'm going to grab E00. And just lightly brush over the top of that. And they're pretty small, so I won't be using the third color on that. I'm just going to fill that in. Like that. And then I'm going to start again with E21 for the face. So I'm going to lightly go around and give it a little outline all the way around. Inside the ear, underneath the ear. I'm going to go down this way, around the chin. And then I want him to have a little bit of a nose, so I'm going to give him a nose, a little upside down U, like that. And then I'm going to grab E00, and I'm going to lightly brush over the E21 and pull it out here as far as I want to go into the center. Go over that nose. Lightly go around the hair. And then I'm going to grab E000. A little bit of ear still showing up here, so I'm going to lightly brush over that. And then I'm going to fill in my white right here in the middle. And I'm going to go over it again, so it's okay that it looks a little patchy still. But I'm going to add some cheek color, so I'm going to grab R20. And I'm going to bring my cheek right underneath of his eye and right out here underneath, about halfway between his eye there. And then I'm going to get this side. And this side I'm going to start right here underneath of his ear. Slightly brush that out. And then I'm going to grab R30 and I'm going to feather the edges. So I'm going to lay down my pen on top of the R20 and lightly brush the R30 out just a little bit. Same for this side. Just lightly add that on there. Okay, now to fix this blotchiness, I'm going to go back over with my E21. I'm going to start on this side with E21. And I'm just going to brush right, I'm going to fill in that whole area there above his eye. And I'm going to lightly brush out here onto his cheek. And maybe just a little bit underneath this cheek, like that. And then I'm going to grab E00. And I'm going to brush right over the top of my my E21 that I laid down on this side. Brush over this cheek. You fill in just a little bit more here. And then I'm going to go over the whole thing with E000 just to smooth it out. And there's a little bit of neck showing right here that I missed. I'm going to do that with E21. And after it dries a little bit, I will decide if I want to darken up his cheeks some more by adding R20. But for now, we're going to move on to the eyes. Alright, so for the eyes, we're going to use B02, B01, and B00. And I'm going to start with B02. And I'm going to take my B02 and I'm just going to give it a little line right around the pupil. Little bit, I'll make it a little bit wider up here at the top, just a little bit. And same for this side, I'm going to go right around the pupil. And then I'm going to grab B01. And I'm going to lightly go over the top of my B02 and pull out into the white just a little bit more. And same for this side. And then I'm going to get B00. And again, I'll go over the B01, and I'm just going to fill in my white. And I want them to be extra blue, so I'm going to go over them again. So I'm going to go B02, and I'm going to go right around the iris. B01. And then my B00. And then for the hair, we're going to use E47 and E44. I'm going to start with E47, and I'm just going to give it a few little dark spots just right next to the face right here, maybe a little bit on the curve of this little curly Q. And then I'm going to get right underneath the mushroom on this side, maybe just a little dip right here at the bottom. And then right underneath of the ear and right, a little line right next to his face. And then I'm going to grab E44 and I'm going to fill it in. But again, you lay down your pen on top of the E47 just a little bit and lightly brush it into the white. Slightly brush that down. Over this line again, I left it. It's still got a little bit of a shadow right there. But like that. Next we're going to do the pants, and for that we're going to use E44, E43, and E42. And I'm going to start with E44. And again, you're going to lay down where you want your shadows to be. So I want there to be a shadow right underneath where his pants kind of looks like his shirt kind of puffs out a little bit there and casts a shadow. Remember, I want the sun coming from this side, so I'm going to give his line of pants on this side a little bit of shadow, and he's going to have a shadow right here in the crease. And I'm going to do on this side of the pants too. And then since he's standing, I'm going to give it a little bit down here at the bottom of his pants. And then I'm going to grab E43. And I'm going to lightly brush over the 44, just a little bit, bring that down. And I'm going to make this leg all the way, fill it all the way in. Maybe leave a little bit of space on his toe there. And go down this side. And then we'll grab the 42. Lightly brush over the edge. Softening up that line. I think I'll feather mine all the way across, maybe blend it a little bit better there. Like that, but see how they're darker on this side than they are on this side, so the light's kind of shining towards his pants there? So next we're going to work on his shirt, and for that we're going to use Y26 and Y23, and we're going to start with Y26. And I'm going to lay down where I want it to be darkest, so I want it to be darkest on this side of his sleeve and along the cuff. And then I want it to be a little bit darker there in the crease of his shirt. And inside's going to be darker, so I'm going to color that. And I'm just going to give it a little bit down his arm right here. And then I'm going to grab Y23, and I'm just going to lightly brush over my 26 and fill in my white. Just like that. Next we're going to work on the mushroom hat, his little hat. So for that we're going to use R29, R27, R24, and R22. And I'm going to start with R29. And I want his hat to be darkest on this side, so I'm going to go ahead and lay down my R29 over here. I'm going to lay down a little bit along the edge right here. I'm going to go ahead and pull this line up right along this dot. Like that. I better get over here a little bit. Like that. And then we're going to get R27. I'm going to lightly flick over the R29 just a little bit. I'm going to carry this over to this side over here. Lightly blend my line. I think I'll carry this line over the top of this little dot right here. And then I'm going to go around the back of this little dot. Then I'm going to grab R24. Brush around there, go around each one of these little dots. Okay, and then I take the R22. For me, I don't use it to blend. It's 24 to 22 is quite a big difference, so I'm just going to use it more to smooth my color. So I'm just going to lightly go over the whole red area with my R22 and just lightly blend all those colors together. Just kind of smooths things out a little bit for me. Like that. So let's go over here and do our mushrooms too, as long as we're coloring things with the R's. So again, you're going to start with R24, and so I'm going to start, this mushroom's going to tilt this way, so I want it to be shaded more on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and do this underneath side. I'm going to bring it up just around this little dot here, and just kind of let it work its way. That. And then I'm going to grab R24, R27, and I'm just going to go up past these little dots. And then I'm going to fill it in with R24. And again, I use the R22 to just kind of blend all the colors together, so I'm just going to lightly go over my whole mushroom with the R22. And then I'm going to go up here and get this bigger one. And this mushroom tilts like this, And so I want it to shade, because it's going to kind of bow over him, so I want this side to be a little bit darker. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my R29 on this side. I'm just going to give it a light brushing on this side of the mushroom. And then we'll grab R27. Lightly flick that up. I think I'll go a little bit higher. And then R24. Whoops, I painted that dot. Gotta go around those a little bit. Or else I'll be scrubbing the whole, I'll be getting red all over in the place in there, like I just did with that one. Red's hard to get off, so I try not to get it on a bunch of stuff when I'm coloring. You can push it back a little bit, but not a whole bunch. Okay, and then again I'll take the R22 and just lightly go over that to blend the colors together. Like that. Okay, let's do the bottom stems. Alright, so for the bottom of the stems, we're going to use E31 and E30. And again, I'll start from dark to light, so I'm going to start with the E31. I'm going to start with this little mushroom first. And because it's tipping over this way, I'm going to shade with my E31 the bottom side, this side of the mushroom. And I wasn't too concerned about this grass down here because it's going to be stuck underneath of some grass on the card. I'm just going to go like that, and then I'm going to grab E30 and lightly brush over the edge of the 31. And see, there's still a huge line there, so I'm going to go back over it, just brush lightly over the edge with my little flicking motion. Up here just a little bit more. And see how that's just disappearing? I got a little bit more right here, so I'm just going to go back over it again like that. And then for this mushroom, I'm going to do it, because it dips down on this side, I'm going to get this side of the mushroom stem. So I'm just going to go right down this side, my mushroom. And again, I wasn't worried about the grass because it's going to be covered up by grass on your card. Get a little bit underneath there so it's casting a shadow from the top. And again, you're just going to lightly brush over the 31 you just put down and brush out here into the white. And I didn't go all the way to the edge because I know I'm going to have to go back over it again. So I'll go right back up here at the top and lightly brush over the side of that line. Brush down here at the bottom. Okay, and I still haven't gotten rid of my line, but I still have white left. So again, I'm going to go back up here at the top and I'm going to pull that away from that line. Just lightly flicking right over the top of it. And then I'm going to cover up this white. Like that. Now I'm going to cut them out. Okay, so through the magic of video, I have cut my little pieces out and I have them ready to go. It would just take too long if I cut them out while you watched me cut them out. But I cheated right here on his little hair. It's got this little spot in between there. I left that white because it was just too hard to get in there to cut it out. So I'm just going to leave that. And also when you're cutting it out, just because I started cutting it right after I colored this, it was still a little bit damp. So make sure it dries, or make sure you don't touch on your image so you don't get some ink on there. So let's put our card together. So I've got the rest of my parts here. Let's get all those out. And I like my cards to flip up like this, but you could do it whichever way you want. And so I'm going to start by putting down the little brown piece. I'm going to tape that on first. So I'm just going to add some glue to the back here. And get that centered on here. And next comes the little yellow piece. And I love this little yellow piece. Oh wait, I shouldn't have put down that little brown piece yet. Let's not hook it all the way down yet. Silly me, gotta put the stuff on first. Okay, so I'm just going to prop it up just a little bit here at the bottom because I need the string to go underneath that. So next we're going to have our little yellow piece. And I love this piece because it's got these great little leaves on it. And I want the leaves to be on this side of my card with the biggest mushroom. So I'm going to make sure I place it that way. So I'm going to put some glue on here, some tape. Okay, and then I'm going to stick it on top of the brown one. And I'm not going to smush it down at the bottom because I want to put my twine underneath here. So and silly me, I taped it down already. So I'm just going to hold it up here just a little bit. Next, I'm got to have, you got a couple of pieces of grass. So I'm going to grab those. And the brown piece is just up just a little bit from the, so it sticks up a little bit above the green piece. And you can kind of shift it around. And I made it a little bit bigger so you could offset it a little bit if you wanted, or decide how you wanted the grass and then cut it off, or you can make it go all the way to the edge of the green. It's up to you, but I'm going to put a little bit of glue or tape on the top of the grass of the brown craft piece, and I'm going to attach the green piece on top of that however you want it to sit. Oops, I want mine to be up a little bit more. Decide how you want it. And see, mine's off just a little bit right here, so I'm going to trim it just a little bit. And then I'm going to put it goes to the bottom of this yellow piece. So I'm going to decide where I want that. Put some glue on the back here. Okay, and line it up down here on the bottom of my yellow piece. And then I'm going to get my scissors that I use for paper. I have two separate sets, so I don't get a big old, get my ones for rib and dull. I'm just going to trim that off on this side. And I'm going to do the same thing over here on this. Whoops, let's pull it up just a little bit so I can get underneath there a little bit more. So I'm just going to butt it up against the edge of my yellow and just trim that off like that. Uh-oh, it's stuck to my finger. Okay, and then I'm just going to give it a light tap to hold it just a little bit, because remember we want to put the twine around here. Okay, so you got your little piece of twine. And I made my twine start at this end over here, and then I wrapped it around this dark brown piece, which I should have not attached it yet. I'm just going to go around one, two, one more time, back around to the back. Actually, it's working out pretty good with that glue back there because it's holding it right in place. And then it's going to come back over here like that, and I'm just going to squish this down to hold that all in the place. And then I'm going to take and I'm going to tie my bow right here. And I think I'll wait to tie it exactly where I want it after I get my little pieces on there. So I also have to put down my larger mushroom, and I want my larger mushroom to be behind this grass a little bit. So I'm going to put some tape on there, or glue, or whatever your preference for adhesive is. And I'm just going to stick it underneath this grass, and I'm going to hide the grass that's cut off at the bottom. And I'm just going to stick it down like that. And then I want my little shroom, I want him to be on here. So I'm going to go ahead and put him sort of right there. But I'm going to leave him off for just a second. And I'm going to grab my little other mushroom over here. And I want this one, I'm going to put some glue down here at the bottom. But I want it to be popped up, the little top part to be popped up. So I'm going to put a pop dot on there. Whoops. So I'm just going to stick my little pop dot on the top of my mushroom, peel the little sticker thing off there. So I've got my little pop dot, and then I'm going to decide where I want that one. And I want this one to be in between the brown and the green grass. So I'm going to kind of wedge it in there in a spot that you like. And then I'm just going to stick it down like that, and that will show me that I have enough room for my shroom if I needed to move him around. But I'm also going to pop him up, so I'm going to get me some pop dots for him and put some up here. And he might need a little piece down here on his feet, but my little pop dots aren't going to fit there. So I'm going to use the edge of my pop dots down here, and I'm just going to cut me off a little piece of this excess trim stuff on the edges, because I use the whole thing. I make sure to chop all that stuff up. And we'll just put that down here where his foot is, because it's kind of narrow right there in between his feet there. Okay, and then let's peel all that stuff off so we can stick that down. Okay, and then I'm going to decide I want him to be, how about right here? That looks like a good place for him. Like that. And that tells me that, see, I have enough room for my bow over here, so I'm going to go ahead and tie that. And then you can fiddle with it until you get it exactly right, which will probably be, for me, another 10 minutes. So I'm just going to leave it like that and fiddle with it later. And then you have also in your little kit, you have this little cloud for the saying. So let's go ahead and stamp that onto, get the sentiment stamped on there. So for that, I'm going to use my Stamp-A-Ma-Jig. So I'm going to get my Stamp-A-Ma-Jig, and you put your Stamp-A-Ma-Jig right in the corner of your tea thing. And you got your, I'm going to use my VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I love that for stamping sentiments. And then I'm just going to ink up my sentiment, and I'm going to stamp it onto my Stamp-A-Ma-Jig sheet, like that. And then I'm going to take my little cloud, and I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive onto the back of my cloud. And I'm going to stick it to my nonstick craft mat. Oh, and look there, I got ink on my cloud from my finger when I touched the ink pad. Not good, but we're just going to make do. Okay, and then you take your Stamp-A-Ma-Jig sheet, and you're going to put your sentiment on your cloud wherever you want it to be. And then you're going to put your T-square back on your plastic sheet. Remove the plastic sheet. Stamp up your sentiment, and stamp it right onto the cloud, like that. And remove it from your sheet, and then I let it dry for a couple of seconds, and then put more adhesive on there. That wasn't very much I put on there. So let it dry for a couple of seconds, and then you're just going to stick it up here wherever you would like it to go on your card. And I want mine to kind of hang off the edge of the little brown sheets over here, like that. And then for the little, oh, and it looks like I forgot my Sharpie white paint pen. Okay, so I ran off and got my white paint pen. So you take your Sharpie white paint pen and you shake it up, and then I'm just going to give his cheeks a couple of little dots on there. So I'm just going to go like that. And then when I stamped his eyes, the stamp pad, I didn't press down hard enough, so they're kind of, let me see if I zoom in a little bit here. See how this one's got like some white spaces on here? I don't want that. So I've got my Copic multiliner pen, and it's the 0.05 one, and I'm just going to color that in. I want it to be black. Same for this side. I'm just going to take my pen, because it's a pretty small area, so I want the really small point, but there, that fixes his eyes so they're not so splotchy looking. And then, last but not least, these mushrooms and his little hat have the great little dots on them. So I've got my Ranger Glossy Accents, and I'm just going to take this and I'm going to fill in each one of these little spots on the mushroom. You could also do stickles if you wanted to give them a little bit of a sparkly, or if you wanted to paint the mushroom with the stickles and then do put the glossy accents in the little holes too. That would be perfect. Give it kind of a sparkle. But you're just going to squish this on here, and I kind of let it pile up so it doesn't have any bubbles in it. Like this. Oops, and I got a little bit on his hair there, so let me take my fingernail and kind of squish that back in there. And then we're going to do the same thing for this bigger one. But like that, and this one here in the middle looks like it has a couple of little air bubbles in it. And so I'm just going to take it and take my hand and pat it on my hand and shake some of those air bubbles out. And then I let it dry overnight, because that's going to take a while to dry. It's got a big puddle there. But that's our card this month. So if you love this card and you want to color along with me, head over to the store. It's www.HeathersHobbieHaven.com, and I'll put a little flash up there underneath. And pick that up. I have a couple of these left, so you could color along with me. And while you're there, check out the other cards in the card series. And thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.